What's up everyone? Today we're just going to have a quick look at Figjam and understand the basics of how to use it. Let's jump in. Let's start with everyone's most burning question. What is the difference between Figma and Figjam? So Figma is a vector drawing tool for high fidelity designs and interactive prototyping. You get a blank canvas and endless possibilities. Figjam, on the other hand, is a whiteboarding tool for low fidelity designs, workshops, ideation sessions, and stuff like that. It's a lot more restricted than Figma. Let's jump into a file and see this in action. So here we are inside a Figjam file, and straight away we can see that it's very different from a Figma file. We don't have any panels, we can see this kind of grid on it, and we have a white background, and we've got loads of tools at the bottom. So let's just go through those tools. So to start off, we've got the cursor and the hand. Hand is just for moving around, and the pointer is for doing everything you need to do. Next to it, we have the marker tool. You can also click on M to get to it. And in here, very simple, we've got some markers, we can just draw things, and you can see that Figjam is helping us out, right? So if I draw this kind of nasty little shape, it will smooth the corners, make it straight, make all the corners neat. Next, we have the highlight. Now with the highlight, I'm just gonna do a few lines again. And when I select the highlighter, if I highlight over something just like a real one, it won't hide whatever's underneath, it will just go above it. So it's got some opacity to it. You can change the colors over here. There's some preset colors to help you out. And you can also change the thickness. So now I'm using a thick one and now I'm using a thin one. And this is what I was talking about before, right? In Figma, I can control the width of things really easily, but here I've got two widths. I've got a small and I've got a large. That's it. So a lot less possibilities. Next to it, we've got the washi tape, which is just a bit of fun, really. You can use different patterns that come with Figma, but there's also a plus button over here, so you can add your own pattern if you wish to do so. Then you've got the eraser tool. You can also use Shift and Backspace to get to it, and it just helps you erase everything that's on the canvas. Next up, we've got the Post-its, and Post-its are probably the most useful thing you will find in Figjam, especially because Figjam is usually used for workshops or research or ideation, so note-taking is very important inside of Figjam. So if I put in a sticky note, you could just drop it in, and again you can see that we've got a set number of colors. You can't choose any color that you want. It's kind of limiting you on that. And then I can just start typing, or I can mention someone. So let's say, hello, I am taking some notes. Now what's really cool about a Post-it is it will keep growing as you keep typing. So I'm just gonna copy my text and then I'll paste it a bunch of times. And you see when it starts getting too long for the Post-it will grow to accommodate for that amount of text. Now a Post-it is sort of like an auto height text box. Basically what that means is that if you keep writing, it will grow in height and not in width. If you want to change the width of the Post-it, again, we're limited. You only have kind of a wide one and a not so wide one. You can drag the Post-it and make it smaller using the corner, but that will also change the text size, and again, only two widths are possible. We can also change the fonts, but again, we're only restricted to 4 different kinds of fonts. I think this is actually kind of nice because it means that when you're doing an ideation or a workshop, you're not having to also be a designer. You can just put everything on the page and not really worry about how it looks. Next to that, you've got some set font sizes, but you can also just type in a specific font size if you want to do so. And then some just familiar text decorations like a bold or a strike through. And you can also add a link or make it a bulleted list. The last button is a really cool one. This one is sort of a toggle to show or hide the author of this note. You can see right now, kind of at the bottom corner of this sticky note, it says TD Sunshine because I am the author. But if I turn that off, it won't show. I think this is again really cool if you're workshopping and there's a bunch of people working on the same Figjam. You want to know who took the note, and this is sort of a way of having it always written down. Next up, we have shapes. Now there is so much going on inside of this tool. To start off, you just get some basic shapes, let's say a square, very similar to a sticky note. You can't have an author on a shape, but it will sort of act the same way as a sticky note would. So if I just paste the text I had before and I keep pasting, you'll see that it will grow as well. But with the shape, I do have a bit more control over the sizing of it. So I can change the width however I want. I can change the height. So it's just a normal shape. And if the shape becomes too small for the text inside of it, you'll just get an ellipsis. So if you remember from before, when we made the Post-it smaller, the text inside of it shrunk down as well. When we make a shape smaller, the text isn't affected. It just might hide it if there's no more space. So I can change it to a circle or to a diamond, or back to a circle if I want. I can also control the color. With the shapes, you do have the ability to select kind of the color picker and then just go for any color you want or paste in a hexadecimal. And you can also change the fill color to a bit of a transparent color so it's not as opaque and strong. You can also add a border to your shape. You can either add a dashed one or a solid one, and the color is inherited from the shape background, so you can't have a different color order. Next, you can again control the typeface and all of the decorations like we saw before, and you can even control the text alignment inside of the shape. The only thing you can't control in terms of the text alignment is it will always be in the center of the shape rather than the top or the bottom, but you can control if it's in the middle, on the right or on the left. Now, you probably noticed this when we were looking at the sticky note before, but when I hover around my shape right now, I've got all of these kind of arrows popping up at me. And what these are for is just to help me if I want another one of these shapes, right? So if I have this square right now and I click on this arrow, straight away what it did is it created another shape just like the one I had, same styling, same properties, everything, and it connected the two of them with an arrow. Now, arrows in Figjam are incredible because this arrow is connected. You see this kind of circle here? It's connected to this shape, meaning that if this shape moves, the arrow will move as well. We're going to talk about arrows a bit more in a second, but I just wanted to show you that. By the way, jumping back to sticky notes, if I put in a sticky note, they also have one of these quick buttons on the sides of them, but this one is a plus button, so it will add another sticky note, but it won't connect the two. So you see there's no arrow between them. Let's keep looking at our shapes. So we have a drop down here where we can select between different types of shapes. So Figjam knows that we're probably going to need this for some sort of user mapping or journey mapping or some sort of mapping. So it's giving us some flowchart shapes as well really quickly, and also just some miscellaneous shapes like a plus, an arrow, or a star. Let's look at the connectors again, or the arrows really. So if I'm just gonna draw an arrow over here, I really love arrows in Figjam because they can just do so much. They're not just a basic arrow. So like we saw before, we can connect them to different shapes or elements on the page. So for example, if I put a square here and I'm just gonna add another one here, when I am starting to drag the end of this arrow around, you see I get these dots. So it's kind of asking me, do you want to connect it to this shape? And if so, where? So I can connect it and then it will just be connected forever. Now, when I select my arrow, I can decide certain things about it. I can decide how the start and end point look. So if I want this one to be a circle, for example, and I want the end point to be a diamond, yeah, so it's changed that. But I can also decide about kind of the body of the arrow. Do I want it to have this sort of elbow or do I want it to be straight? So if it's straight, it might connect it from a different place and you see it's still connecting. It's just kind of moving around, right? Where if it was elbowed, then if I move around, it just creates another elbow. Now, if it's an elbowed connector, I can also control the elbows myself. I get these little handles so I can add more or do whatever I want with them. If you've added more elbows and you want to go back to kind of the default elbow, you just need to double click on one of these little handles and it will go back to kind of the best possible route. Now, one more cool thing about arrows inside of Figjam is that if you double click on the path itself, you will get a text box in the middle of your path. And then I can write something like connection. Now, this text box again will stay in the middle of this path, even if I keep moving it around. So arrows in Figjam are 10 out of 10. Now, inside of the shape store, we have this really cool thing called a mind map. So if I just drop one of those in, you can see already that this is such a helpful little tool, right? I can put any question or topic in here and then just a mind map, right? I can shoot out different ideas that come out of it. But what's even cooler is that Figjam is so intuitive and so ready to help you out that if I click on it, look, I've got these two connectors. One of them is add a child and one of them is add a sibling. Look how easy. Let's say I need another one sprouting out of here, so I need another sibling. Just click on it and it will do that for you. I need a new child. There we go. New child. What if I want it to come out of the other side? So I can select this and you see I can add a child from this side or add a child from this side. Boom. Yeah, so quick. Figjam is just incredible. Moving on in our panel, we've got the textual. So what else? What can you say about text really? I'm just going to write something and same controls as we've had before. We've got the different colors. We can change the font again, control everything. And if we do decide that this actually needs to be a mind map, we can start a mind map from this and this will be kind of the parent of the mind map. Next up, we have sections. Now, if you're familiar with sections in Figma, sections in Figjam are the same thing. To be honest, they were there in Figjam and then someone was like, we should probably put these in Figma, shouldn't we? So a section is just a way of containing a few different elements together. So you can see I can drop some shapes into here, and then when I move them around, they are just sort of grouped. So I can move them to wherever I need them to go. I can give this a name, I can give it a color, same as a section that we're familiar with in Figma. Next up, we've got tables. Now, tables are really great because we don't have them in Figma itself, and it's really cool to have them in Figjam. When you're on a table, you can change the background color of the whole table if you want to, but you can also select a column. So you see I'm selecting here at the top, there's like 2 lines above it. And then if I change the background color, it will change the color just for that column. One more really cool thing is when I'm selecting a column or a row, I can hold it down and then just swap the places of the rows inside of the table, which I think is just super useful. And there's a really handy, huge kind of plus button on the side and below, so you can add a new row or add a new column super quickly. Right now, I believe tables are only for text inside of Figma, so from my knowledge, you can't really nest a shape inside of here. So if I try and like put a post-it in here, for example, it doesn't really get swallowed by the table, if that makes sense. So that's one downside, I think. So even if I make this really large and I put it here, when I move the column, you see it doesn't move with me. So that's one thing I think can be improved. If there is a way of doing this and I'm just not familiar with it, please let me know in the comments, because that would be a lifesaver. Still, it's still great, right? We need tables in our lives. Next up, we've got some stamps. Now, stamps are just fun, first of all, but they can also be really useful if you want to leave some comments or ask, you know, the people to use them for voting. We've also got a proper voting tool, but this is just a good one to kind of be familiar with. You've got 2 types. You've got the emojis over here, and you've also got just the normal kind of up, down, star, question mark. And you will also have one of kind of yourself. I have a picture because I put my picture up in my Figma profile. Now, using these stamps, I just want to show you what we can do with multiple elements together. So similar to Figma, where we would use the top of the design panel to do some alignment or distribution, we can do the same thing inside of Figjam. We just select a few of these elements together, and then first of all, we've got everyone's favorite tidy up, which will tidy it up on both the axes, but we also have just the normal alignment tools over here. So I can align them all to vertical centers, for example. I can align them to the center of each other, which isn't very helpful in this case, but it's kind of a nice one to have. So yeah, everything is nested inside of here. We don't have distribute horizontal spacing and distribute vertical spacing, but we do have tidy up. So if they are sort of just in one row, then it will know to just distribute that. And obviously, yes, we don't have the design panel where we can set exactly how many pixels of spacing there is, but still, if they are tidy, you can zoom in and use the pink lines as we would normally, or the circles to swap things around when they are equally distributed. So at the end of our toolbar, you can also access them from the top panel. So inside of here, firstly, you'll have some stickers. Now, stickers are fun. They could be just anything. For example, the arrows that I've created in one of my previous videos are available as stickers for Figjam, and you can watch that video to see how to upload them. So they can be just something fun, like let's say these squishy squashies. So if I select them, you just get a sticker, right? And that's it. But some of them are interactive. So for example, there's a sticker that I like to use, which is this list item. So if I put it in here, it's sort of like a component with variants. So if I select it over here, you can see I've got a selected one, a crossed out one, a warning one, and I can change the text of it as I please, but it's kind of giving me a preset of 4 different kinds of stickers in one, which can be really helpful. Next, we've got, I'm going to skip templates quickly and just look at widgets. Widgets, so I think they're sort of a work in progress still, but there are lots of them out there. Well, widgets are connected to the community, so it's just a bunch of people uploading things that they've created, sort of like plugins. If you find the one you need, that's great, but sometimes what you're looking for is kind of missing. But yeah, they can be really cool. So for example, let's say this activity tracker. So I can add it in, then yeah, you can name your activity. So let's say brainstorming, and then I click and then it just starts the timer, I guess. And I click on pause, it tells me how long I did that for. So yeah, that could be cool. And some of them are complicated and some of them are super simple. You've also got some plugins that are specific for Figjam. A lot of plugins that are normally used on Figma also work on Figjam. For example, here are some of my favorites. So Lorem Ipsum or Iconify, Background Remover, they all also work inside of Figjam, but there's also some plugins that are specific to Figjam. Now, last but not least, templates. So if you've ever used Miro before, very similar, right? These are loads of templates that either people have created or Figma have created for us, where you can just dump them in and they are a great starting point for anything you need to do. So let's say I'm looking to create a service design. Yeah, there we go. I didn't even spell it correctly and it's already finding things, yeah? So let's say a service blueprint. I can just add the template, and this one is from Figma, and look at it, okay? Straight away, I've got so much stuff going on. I have a little prompt here from an AI tool, which we will look at later, but just look at this, yeah? So it explains what the service blueprint can do. It tells me, here are some more templates that might be useful for you. Here are some quick tips about how to use it. And then I just have, this amazing diagram ready to go. Now, obviously, this probably won't fit exactly what you're looking for, but it's always a great jumping off point. Instead of looking at a blank canvas, look for the template that is similar to what you're looking for, and that can help you as kind of a jumping off point to continue on with your workshopping. Now, we saw it for a second, but Figma has some AI for us to use, and that also really can just kickstart your design work. So over here at the top, we've got this generate, this kind of sparkling star. And if I click on it, it's still in beta, but it's a pretty powerful AI tool. So let's say let's just click actually on one of these. So let's say a timeline to plan and organize customer feedback sessions. Yeah, so this is just one of their demo ones, but anything that you select, it will generate for you, which is just incredible. Look at that, okay? So it's created one for me. It even knows what date we're in, and it's saying, today we're gonna define the feedback objectives, then 3 days from now, we're gonna identify customer targets, etc., 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 yeah? But I can even ask it to do something super, super specific. So for example, I'm just gonna delete this. I'm gonna ask it to, please help me facilitate a workshop about a new app we are designing. It's a travel app for a luxury destination. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna give it. Probably some spelling mistakes in there. It's gonna pursue the possibilities, and let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so there we go. It's put 3 sections in, and let's see what it's asking me to do. So the first one is saying travel memories, share a memorable travel experience you've had. So interesting, it's saying this is kind of an icebreaker to get us going. Then we've got some user research. What's the target audience? What are the demographics, needs and preferences, travel needs, travel design preferences? Then we've got feature brainstorming, generate some ideas, discuss. So this is great, right? And also, little tip for you, if you click generate again, it will generate a new one and come up with new ideas. So it's now thinking, and let's see what it comes up with now. There we go. Okay, it's completely different. We've got travel bucket list, then we've got persona creation, competitor analysis, user interviews, user journey mapping, design concept, feature brainstorming. So it's already helping me to set up my workshop, which I just think is really cool. Like we saw before popping up, they've also got kind of a post-it summary tool where if you've got loads of post-it on the board with actual information inside of them, you can select all of them and then click the little AI tool and it will just summarize all the post-its. It is really cool, but like with any AI tool, you always need that human touch to just make sure that everything makes sense and there's not loads of repetition and faff. Final thing I want to show you in Figjam is this kind of timer up here, and it's timer, music, and voting. So a lot of times within a workshop environment, we're going to want to have some individual time to do something, whether we're asking people to vote or put down some post-its, some ideation, write their favorite song, whatever it is. So during that time, I can start a timer. I can just type in the timer however long I need it to be, or I can just add 1 minute here, which is always helpful because you always just need 2 more minutes. And then you can just start the timer. Now, while the timer is playing, you can also play some music. Yeah, so we've got acoustic, ambient, lo-fi hip hop. Right now it's noticing that my mic is live because I'm recording. So it's also letting me know, are you on a call? Just so you know, everyone's going to be able to hear this music. So I am going to stop it. But this is a really just cool tool. So everyone that's on the Figjam file will be hearing this music if you play it out of their own computer speakers. And then we've also got a voting tool. So I can give a prompt. So let's say pick your faves. And I can decide how many votes people get. So let's say they each get 2 votes. And once that's started, this is what everyone will see. So it's saying you've got 2 votes left and you can choose any one of these to vote with. They don't have to vote just with a specific one. And if I select it and I put it down, it said try voting on a sticky, shape, image, or some text. So right now the canvas is blank, so I won't be able to vote on anything. And that sort of protects you. So if you do have a few shapes down, then people can only put their votes on those shapes rather than put them anywhere, and then things get lost. So it's kind of a really nice way of protecting us in Figma. If you are the person who started the voting, you can end it for everyone. Is everyone done? The results will be shown after everyone kind of is finished. So you click on end vote and then you'll get a tally. Now, obviously no one voted, so we won't get a tally, but if this were the real situation, you'd see the voting up there. And that's that. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of Figjam, so now you can use it with confidence and you know what it's all about and what it's capable of. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, let me know what other videos you want to see. See you at the next one.